As I said in the preview, all the talking points leading up to this match were about Dynamo Kyiv and their struggles with COVID. A third-choice youth goalkeeper and a makeshift back line was all that Lucescu had to work with, only 13 first-team players. And it was interesting to see that Koeman countered with some interesting storylines in his back line. I'm talking about Ter Stegen starting his first game of the season. With no offense to Neto, it's not a bad thing. Neto was good before the Alaves mistake, especially at shot stopping, but his distribution and leadership at the back just wasn't the same as what you get with Ter Stegen, so Ter Stegen is an upgrade. The real surprise along the back line was De Jong partnering with Piqué. Now we know that isn't just a break in case of emergency option for Koeman. I think Piqué is actually the better option to partner De Jong because on paper they complement each other well. Piqué with his positioning and his aerial abilities, and De Jong controlling everything on the ground. De Jong at center back only makes sense against a team that Barca know will control a huge amount of possession, so a weakened Kiev side would be that team. Or it could all be because Lenglet had a knock and he couldn't start. Who knows? Instead of shaking up the double pivot anymore, it was Busquets paired with Pjanic, Dest in for Roberto on his natural right side, Alba, then Fati, Messi, Pedri, Griezmann as the front four. We've seen this before, but Koeman went back to the well with Messi on the right to give him plenty of space against a bunkering opponent, keeping Pedri in a more comfortable central role and Griezmann up top. That was also tipping his hand that most of the first half attacks would flow down the left side through Alba and Fati as Messi drifts towards the middle. It was just that kind of build-up, and by build-up I mean Barca had possession the entire time, that led to Messi getting fouled in the box within the first 5 minutes of the game and earning Barca a penalty. While Neshcheret guessed right, Messi scored from the spot again to make it 3 penalty goals in 3 Champions League games, and his 4th goal of the season coming from the spot. Interestingly enough, in 30 Champions League appearances prior to this one, only 1 of his goals came from the spot. This game should have been over 2 minutes later though. In the 7th minute, Messi started the move out wide, found Dest on the overlap, and he delivered a dime of a ball into the box that Pedri knocked off the bottom of the post, but not over the line. Dest didn't have a great game, maybe his worst in a Blaugrana shirt, but as I've said before, if this is his floor, I'll take that any day of the week. And I do mean both offensively and defensively. There were times when Dest was caught in 2 minds, seemingly too overstimulated with a plethora of options every time he was on the ball. And defensively, his positioning was the worst I've seen, but that also comes due to Barca's overwhelming amount of the ball and the positioning of the fullbacks. As for Griezmann, it wasn't too many options, but just seconds after the Pedri attempt, Griezmann missed a sitter right on the doorstep that should have ended this game. Instead, this miss seemed to galvanize Dynamo Kyiv and give them new life. I don't know what else to say about Griezmann that we haven't said before, and I bet you'll give me your opinion down in the comments below. It's a bit depressing to see the shell of a great player at the moment, and maybe he never turns it around at Barca. But my bigger hope is that he isn't lost for good, wherever his career takes him. Once Dynamo found a bit more of the game, I think the quick free kick they took was a bit confidence building. Griezmann settled in on the right side with Messi central. Then another worrisome counterattack in the 21st minute after both Busquets and Pjanic failed to make the tackle. That sequence, after a corner, ends with a foot save from Ter Stegen that was harder than it looked. Welcome back, Marc-Andre. Jump ahead to the 35th minute, nothing going for Barca, and Ter Stegen gets another save. Not to jump too far ahead, but Matz's 67th minute save on a Dynamo breakaway was another one that saved this match. Since Barca got the win, spoiler alert, the returning goalkeeper was probably the man of the match. If Dynamo converts one of those chances though, the man of the match by miles is Ruslan Neshcheret. He made incredible save after incredible save, with his masterpiece coming in the 58th minute from a Messi free kick. As I've said before, sometimes a little naivety isn't a bad thing, as we've seen with Fati, Pedri, and Dest. Sometimes you don't know this is the most important match of your life until it's over. And that's what it looked like from Neshcheret. The Ukrainian U21 keeper had talent beforehand, and was apparently already being scouted by quite a few clubs. But this performance is the kind of thing that makes a career. Properly run clubs would have already known that he had this kind of showing in him, and properly run clubs just discovering him will continue to track him. But worst case scenario is that a not so properly run club would give him a chance based on this match alone, so bravo to him. Because for all of Barca's chances, this game was still 1-0 in the 64th minute when Sergio Roberto, who had come on for Pjanic, along with Dembele for Griezmann, was just wide on a header. To see Roberto back in midfield certainly caused a buzz because it meant that there was still no room for Puig. But I did like the notion of a midfielder making runs into the box against Dynamo's defensive shape, which was basically everybody get behind the ball and defend for your lives, and it was working. Until a minute later, when after some clever build-up between Messi and De Jong that caught the defense in lateral transition, Fati was free to deliver a cross that was soundly finished by a snap header from Piqué to make it 2-0. Hypothetical here, but for the last 20 minutes of matches, Are Barcelona best with Piqué as the 9 and De Jong and Araujo as a center back pairing to have De Jong facilitate and Araujo use his speed to clean up messes? I'm not saying it's a good idea, I'm just putting it out in the universe. In the 74th minute, Busquets went out for Lenglet and Trichau came in for Fati, and within a minute, Dynamo Kyiv got one back. A low cross ricocheted off Dest, Lenglet was contending with the forward making the run to the near post, and Shigankov, the Ukrainian side leading goal scorer, was free at the back post for the easy finish. That was the bad, as was Barca not putting them away earlier. But the good news is that Barca didn't wilt or get shell-shocked. The inclusion of Dembele did add chaos, but in a good way this time. He sped the game up when in attack and gave some life to a Barca attack that was looking listless outside of the Piqué goal for the majority of the game. He just moves at a different speed with a ball that you can't prepare for. And he almost had a spectacular goal, but that too was saved by Neshcheret. It felt risky to give Carlos Alenya his season debut and shift into a 4-3-3 to close things out, but honestly, any player on this team should be able to be trusted in this situation. So I know it's not Puig, but it was nice to see Alenya get a few minutes, as empty as that feels. So the bad is obvious. Once again, the team was almost bit by a lack of clinical finishing, but issues came with the defensive intensity. Not good enough on the press against a team that on paper needed to be taken to the cleaners early, without so many regulars. Koeman and Piqué echoed this point in the postgame, and other than trying harder, I don't know if there is an answer to that question yet. I've been very complimentary of Pedri, but maybe it's time to give him a rest. His positioning on the press just wasn't there today, and I wonder if a little break would do him well. And we certainly didn't get any questions answered regarding the attack, or should I say Griezmann. I do think this game will be quickly forgotten though. Yes, it was visually forgettable, but it's still 3 points from the Champions League and keeps Barca atop the table. The group stage just isn't a problem for Blaugrana. Now 23 consecutive games unbeaten in the group stage, 17 wins and 6 draws, and 5 straight group stage wins. I'm glad I could leave you on a positive note, and if you could, leave us with a like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. And as always, until next time, Forza Barca!